Thank you so much for joining us. I saw the iPad and I thought maybe I'm going real old school today, bringing up note cards. So bear with me as I flip through them. But my name is Katie Oates. I'm a SaaS consultant at Vendr. And if you don't know, Vendr is a data company really focused on supporting procurement teams, helping them buy the right software really at the right price. We know that today's world, doing more with less is really what companies are forcing a lot of us to do, and we know that procurement teams typically are the ones to bear the burden of that fun challenge. So today, we thought it might be a good idea to just talk to some of who we know are some of the best in the business at doing that, and share some of those insights. At Vendr, we have 600 customers that we're working with from a procurement standpoint, and Noemi and her team at TravelPerk are some of the best and most professional that we work with. So I thought this would be a good opportunity for us to share with you guys what they're doing, and just really discuss some insights that we can bring today so that you guys can walk away with some tangible information to help implement this at your companies. So Noemi is an amazing professional. I don't know if you guys know or read some of her bio, but she brings a level of excellence to everything that she does. If you don't know, she competed in the Olympics in 2008. So we've always seen that high level of competition being brought to the conversations that we do with suppliers when we work together. So Noemi, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your time at TravelPerk?
Thank you for the introduction. That was amazing. My name is Noemi, and I'm head of procurement at TravelPerk. TravelPerk, for those that don't know, is a tech travel company, and it was categorized as a unicorn last year. So I joined TravelPerk 5 years ago to work on direct procurement at the beginning, but over 1.5 years ago, I saw the opportunity and the need in the organization to focus on SaaS. And that's why I am here.
Yeah, so I guess how did you identify a need for procurement at TravelPerk, and what was it about partnering with Vendr that you thought would help achieve those goals?
So at TravelPerk, we have been growing 300% year over year, and here I'm excluding COVID. So that growth is amazing, obviously, but it brought a lot of challenges when it comes to SaaS. We saw a lot of product overlap, like departments working in silos that were using, different products that solve the same need. We also saw that we were not leveraging that growth into the negotiations, a lack of a centralized process to purchase, and also lack of visibility and control. So those were the challenges, and basically we have to start from scratch, working in the digitalization of SaaS procurement. And gathering contracts, information, product owners, integrating that into Vendr, and also making sure that Vendr will integrate with our ERP, but also SaaS system and workspace, right? We have to communicate to the organization. That was an important step, and we have to educate the different stakeholders. So we went through the change management kind of system. And why Vendr? Well, we were looking for two main things. We were looking for a platform that was user-friendly for our stakeholders, which are at the end our clients, flexible enough to allow us to set up different workflows for different purchases, thresholds, and new tools, renewals, but also support on the negotiation side. We are a small team, so obviously we want to apply the 80-20% rule and focus on critical tools, but we wanted to touch base all of them, and Vendr tick all the boxes.
Yeah, so thanks for sharing that. I think maybe to help us understand the baseline of where you now start, right? Can you outline for us just your current procurement process for software at TravelPerk?
So yes, as I say, we only use Vendr, and if we look at an average kind of SaaS cost, which is $60K for us, the procurement, the flow will be like a business case, so the stakeholder will have to submit a strong business case showing alignment with organizational goals, but also return investment. This is something very important, and we take it very seriously. Then automatically a workflow gets populated with the different approvals up to PO creation, and this is automatic. So it will be like manager approval, budget owner approval, finance if it's not within the budget, then obviously procurement review, but also security, legal, again, up PO creation is included in the workflow and is an automatic workflow.
Okay, amazing. And I'm sure some of you can identify with what this sounds like for you. Any key lessons that you learned as you were building this out?
Yes, and we have been hearing this a lot, but communication for us was key. I mean, we were a new function, new department within the organization. Like, the culture was really to buy things yesterday, and communication was something that we needed to do, like in a lot of channels. So basically, when the workflow was up and running, I did present it to the whole organization. Okay, so what is the team mission, vision, our strategy, the workflow? I also wrote a blog. I did small meetings with key stakeholders to make sure they had the opportunity to share feedback and concerns. And after all of that, I do still think that I need to communicate more. But yeah, communication is the first one. Then the second one is alignment and validation with the teams that are within the procurement flow. And I'm talking about IT, legal, security. Like, the whole process needs to be validated and they need to be in, right? At the end, they are your team for purchasing. And the third one is set the right expectations and don't take more than you should.
Yeah. So something that we think about when we're having to push back on stakeholders, when we're doing more with less, is do you find that often creates like a perception of procurement that maybe you have to fight against?
Yes, for sure. It happens in TravelPerk, and I'm sure like in many other companies. Like, at the end, the perception, I believe, is like we are a supporting function that helps reduce cost, right? And the perception we want stakeholders to have about procurement is to be a strategic function that at the end enables growth and generates value.
Yeah. And was there a time that you can think of maybe where you maybe dealt with a stakeholder, you felt like that perception was very strong, but throughout the collaboration, maybe there was a change of heart?
Yes, for sure. Actually, like, I can think of one deal that we ran together. The business case was strong, alignment with organization goals, return on investment was great. So everything was fantastic. But when we got into the deal, like procurement and also Vendr in this specific case, we realized that the stakeholder was really attached to this solution. And you need to think that they have been looking into tools for 3 months, right? So they create that connection and they want to buy it. So we quickly realized that we could do the same with less features. And yeah, maybe you can also share your experience, but here we kind of added value into the whole process.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that we're able to help your team do in that instance was, if we have experience working with the supplier, there are questions that maybe aren't top of mind to ask when going through. We want to make the stakeholders happy from a procurement standpoint, but also just being aware of how different leverage points can work with different suppliers. So really digging into, what does the support package look like? Is everything really included? Like, walk me through the practical use case of this, throughout our time with the supplier. Also dialing in on the users, right? So not just, okay, we're going to take face value, we need all of these users, right? Can we tier the users out? Can we structure that specifically? Also identifying like user terms. I think that's been something that's been really helpful, right? So does that align with your company's mission? Are you going to be paying for somebody who's going to be logged into the platform only for 120 days versus your internal process would preferably be 90 days? Identifying things like that to really make sure that the value is there for what you need, and it's purchase less now and then add more later versus having to do the other way around, because we all know it's a lot harder to claw back things once we've done them, and we're working on that renewal next year. I guess the next thing I want to ask is, like, what best practices did your team identify for managing spend and the amount of suppliers within your tech stack?
Regarding the amount of suppliers, just use technology. Like, get a good procurement platform that connects to your ERP, SaaS products, and then from there you will have clear visibility of your tech stack and cost. Regarding software spend, I'm starting to stop talking about spend within the organization, and we are talking about value, okay? You have a spend within value, but the approach is completely different. I'm going to ask you a question. What is more expensive, a 10K deal that generates zero value, or a 100K deal that generates 10x revenue.
Right.
Right? So, and this is the point, right? I often see, and I don't know if you relate to this, people coming to me wanted to buy a tool that is more expensive than the revenue they are going to generate with that tool. So, and that's why I want everyone to focus on value, and that's why we have this business case, which is super strong on return on investment, but also after 6 months or 1 year or 3 years, the product owner should be really looking into, okay, so what is the value, and is it still the value that we need in the organization?
Right.
So that will be the first one, and then time, buy as much time as you can. I think procurement needs time to ask questions to make sure that we challenge enough the stakeholder, because sometimes you make mistakes. At the other side, you have someone selling you a product. You have a professional seller. So you need to also make sure that you challenge whatever they are telling you and make sure that the product that you're going to buy really integrates and is what you expect. So you need time for that, and you need time for negotiation to sign the perfect agreement. That will be the other one.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think we often think about when we have to go into negotiations, I think especially for a renewal, right? You need time there's opt-out clauses. Those are getting longer now, right? And suppliers are getting more, I would say, stricter about when people can opt out of that. So if you don't have easy visibility into when your renewals are coming up and stakeholders are aware of that, you can't really be proactive. Do you find that there's that sweet spot of time for you guys in dealing with that?
Yes, so I guess it will be different for different companies. In TravelPerk, with our resources, 2 months, it will be the sweet spot. However, we are in a super fast environment. Time to market is key, and often we find ourselves moving faster than that. But yeah, if I can, the sweetest spot will be 2 months for sure.
Yeah. And I guess kind of going into these conversations, right? They mentioned it previously in the conversation, procurement, we're data geeks, right? Do you find that there's a particular way that your team leverages data to make decisions?
Yeah, I think as probably everyone in the room, we use data for everything. At the end, when you are sharing information without backup data, you're just sharing an opinion, and this is a fact. So we use data in 3 main pillars, right? For new tools, the return investment I was mentioning before. We need to have a full analysis, including quantitative, but also non-quantitative information. Okay, so if this new tool that you are requesting is going to increase flexibility or security, okay, just demonstrate it, right? And this is very important because, again, future performance is going to be compared to this initial assessment. Right. The second one is usage optimization. So when we run a renewal, we will always assess, okay, so how many users versus how many users should be using this tool? Which features are adding value? Or, okay, are there any unused licenses? And based on this new analysis, we will negotiate our new terms. And the last one will be comparison with the market. We want to be comparing, okay, the features that we use, the cost, with whatever someone else or other players are offering in the market. But also, regarding innovation, we want to be partnering with tech tools that innovate. And this is something that we always keep an eye on to make sure that we are connected to the right ones.
Right, so using data to right-size agreements going forward, also making sure that, when stakeholders are examining it, they have a clear idea of the value that's going into the agreement and if that needs to be adjusted. I guess when evaluating tools, how do you navigate the complexities of consolidating while staying innovative?
Consolidating can boost productivity on specific areas. However, you really need to understand your teams, the current workflows set up, and from there, really try to find balance between cost, value, but also future negotiation power, right? Like putting all the eggs in the same bucket sometimes can be a little bit tricky. So what we do at TravelPerk is we basically do a very strong discovery phase where it will be along with that product owner or project owner that we decide, okay, so diversifying is bringing us this information. Are we using it? If not, consolidation can be an option. But if we are really using it and getting value from it, maybe that's the best option for us. But again, it's not like a yes or no kind of answer, but it is an evaluation that has different factors to take into consideration.
Yeah, and when you think about some of the new technologies that are coming on the space, there's so much software out there. Is there anything in particular that your team is excited about and that you guys are looking at?
I will say two main ones, artificial intelligence, of course, but the other one is data centralization. Like, we are super keen to buy tools that integrate with our tech ecosystem. At the end of the day, you don't want to be logging in 2,000 tools. You want to have one tool that has all, right? And I can think of one tool that probably everyone knows in the room, that it was initially built for internal communications, but its integration with all the tech ecosystem in the market is so strong that many companies is using them now for improved productivity, and this is Slack. So we are very fan of the Slacks of the tech ecosystem. And the other one is artificial intelligence. At TravelPerk, by the way, we have an artificial intelligence chatbot for procurement, which is saving us a lot of time of replying all these questions. But yeah, we are taking this approach of being super flexible versus building in-house or trying artificial intelligence in the market. And the reason why is because it's incredible how fast it's moving. So we want to keep our options open. We want to try because we want to understand, in 1 year or 2 years' time, what is the best solution for us. Okay? So again, we are just being flexible. Obviously, there are privacy and security reviews that need to happen in order to integrate these solutions. But yeah, we are being super, super open, and we want to try everything that there is out there.
Yeah, we see, at Vendr, we're able to categorize, and we have a trends report that comes out every quarter, and right now AI is the top of that list as to what our clients are interested in, and data centralization, you said that too. I think mainly this shows up a lot with our clients really pushing for those integrations that use their key software. So you mentioned Slack for you. I guess from a procurement standpoint, are there any tools that you guys really find are your heroes that you lean on?
So we use Vendr, we use Ironclad, along with legal, and then potentially Slack. These three tools are the ones that we use the most, and by the way, they integrate with each other. So that's good.
Amazing. Well, we went through our questions pretty quickly and efficiently. We were doing more with less. So I know we're standing between you and the end of the last session of the day, but just kind of want to wrap up a few things to talk about. Some of the key points that you mentioned, hitting on maximizing value, right? So doing more with less doesn't necessarily mean cutting vendors as much as it does creating additional value within the agreements that you have. Really hitting that efficiency key. And savings, which, can help, right? So when you're right-sizing your agreements, you are going to get those savings and see that as a benefit on your end as well. And really just leveraging time, right, to ensure that you go into these conversations being proactive, buying your team the time that they need to go through the exercises, right? Re-go through the business cases. It's helpful to do that on an annual basis, and sometimes we lose sight of that if we can't be proactive. But I think really the last point I want to hit on is also that supplier diversity, right? We can't afford to necessarily cut things out. You have to remain innovative as companies. So making sure that the features that don't make sense in some instances and aren't best of market, can they be, brought into other tools to leverage competition, make the vendors that you currently have, keep them honest, and keep it competitive. But appreciate you taking the time to share with us what you've done at TravelPerk. Thank you guys for coming out. Hopefully that you can enjoy the last drink, or the first drink, I should say, of the evening. But thank you so much for joining.